When did a rich kid learn that money can't buy back your dignity? My roommate moved into our dorm like she was checking into a five-star hotel she planned to leave a bad review for. She didn't lift a single box. Two guys in matching shirts hauled everything up 3 flights while she stood in the doorway, pointing and sighing, like carrying her things was a privilege they hadn't earned. Her father owned some massive logistics company, the kind whose trucks you see on the highway. But when I asked her what it was called, she actually laughed at me. Why would I memorize that? She said. I just checked that the money lands on the first. And honestly, that one sentence told me everything I needed to know about the next year of my life. The first night, I was at the little stove making rice and beans because that is what I could afford. And she watched me like I was performing surgery on a frog. You actually cook, she said, her nose scrunched up. That is so depressing. I order everything. I told her gently that not everyone gets to do that. She looked me up and down and said, well, maybe your parents should have tried harder. I just kept stirring my pot because I had already learned that arguing with someone like her is like yelling at weather. By the second month, she had cracked 3 phone screens and replaced 2 whole phones over nothing. And she had found roughly 40 different ways to call me poor without ever using the word. Then one Thursday, she burst in, breathless, and announced her father was visiting Friday. She looked dead at me and said, do me a favor and disappear while he is here. My dad has a certain standard. The whole floor felt it coming. Housing sent out an email about a distinguished guest. They asked everyone to keep the common areas spotless. Word went around that the dean himself was coming to greet this man personally. That was when I understood her father was not just rich. He was the kind of rich that makes a university rearrange its whole morning. She went into overdrive. She hired actual cleaners. They scrubbed the baseboards. Thursday night I was reading on the couch and she walked in and froze like I had committed a crime. Can you not? She said, gesturing at my textbooks. I live here, I reminded her. I know, she snapped, but he is coming tomorrow, and I do not need your stuff cluttering my space. She said your stuff like it was something growing in the back of the fridge. Friday afternoon, I was at the stove again, this time making a grilled cheese, because I had an exam, and grilled cheese is what survival tastes like. Then I heard footsteps in the hall, a low voice, the door opening. She walked in first, all bright and rehearsed. Behind her was a tall man, gray at the temples, in a suit that probably cost more than everything I owned put together. Her smile flickered when she saw me. Oh, she said, with a tight little laugh. Didn't think you would be around. I flipped my sandwich and looked at her dad. Hey, I said, making grilled cheese. I can throw another one on if you are hungry. Her face went red. He does not, she cut in. My father doesn't eat dorm food. We are just looking around. She grabbed his arm and started narrating the tour. This is the kitchen. The cleaners came yesterday, so it is unusually presentable. She shot me a look on the word presentable. Her dad said nothing. He just watched, quiet, taking it all in. She walked him past the lounge, the windows, kept up a running commentary the whole time. The furniture is basic, but I make it work. Most people here do not really have standards. And then, right in front of me, she nodded at my pan and said, at least the kitchen is good for people who can't afford real food. Her dad's eyes moved to me, then back to her, and narrowed, but he stayed silent. A few minutes later, they left. I figured that was the end of it, and went back to my notes. But about half an hour later, the door opened again. And this time her father walked in first and stopped in the middle of the kitchen. I am cutting you off, he said, calm as anything. She blinked. What? All of it, he said. Every dollar. Her face just crumbled. He turned to face her fully. You think because my money lands in your account, you are above people. You walked me through a building looking down on a kid making lunch. He pointed at me. That young man offered me food the second I walked in. You did not even ask if I was hungry. You assumed I would think I was too good for it because that is exactly what you think. She started crying, but he was not finished. You have never worked a day in your life, and you do not even know the name of the company you brag about. He looked at me and said, is that grilled cheese still on the table? I said, yeah, I can make you one. He sat down. She ran to her room and slammed the door hard enough to rattle the windows. We ate grilled cheese for an hour. He told me he started with nothing, and that somewhere along the way he had handed his daughter the world, and forgotten to hand her a single reason to respect it. She moved out 2 weeks later. Last I heard, she is working a register somewhere, learning what the first of the month actually costs.